Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review of Season 1 of Gen V. This is The Boys spin-off show. So from the world of The Boys comes Gen V, which explores the first generation of superheroes to know that their superpowers are from Compound V. These heroes put their physical and moral boundaries to the test, competing for the school's top ranking. Congratulations, you've been chosen to admission for Godolkin University. We are thrilled to be part of your journey of discovering what kind of super you are. This show stars Jess Sinclair as Marie, Chance Perdomo as Andre, Lizzie Broadway as Emma, Maddie Phillips as Kate. We also have London Thal and Derek Liu as Jordan, Asa German as Sam, Patrick Schwarzenegger as Golden Boy, and Clancy Brown as Professor Rich Brinkerhoff. Um, so this season was excellent. Now, I'm not gonna get too much into spoilers. I think it's well worth your time for you to watch this season. It's only 8 episodes. They're all under an hour, so it's a really well paced show. It's a really fun spin-off from the main show. So if you like The Boys, I think you'll really appreciate Gen V because it brings a fresh perspective into this world. It also builds on the mythology and the world building from The Boys, but I think it also kind of stands up on its own, right? I think if you've only seen a little bit of The Boys, or you know about the concept, but weren't really interested because you don't want all the superhero stuff, this is definitely more of a young adult drama. Like, there's definitely a lot of stuff there. Now, it still maintains the approach that the boys takes to it, which means there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of crudeness, jokes, sex, all that stuff that you enjoy from the boys. But it also translates it over to this college campus where things are not all that they seem to be. We have some great performances, and I'll talk about the individual characters in a little bit. But I just want to kind of dive deep a little bit into why I really enjoy this season. I think as a comics reader, sometimes you have like a big main series and there's some really cool characters that spin off into its own series. Sometimes those are successful, sometimes they're not. And this reminded me of reading a really cool um, tie-in comic or a tie-in miniseries to a larger world. Like, this was really, really fun. And it is one of those where sometimes you even think, is this miniseries even better than the original material that I'm reading, right? Better than the main story. This is definitely a more whereas The Voice has a larger skew of the world, just a larger purview of everything. Gen V really focuses down on the lives of these students, the university. Of course, the events from the a larger world affect this, but will the effects that happen here affect the larger world? Right? Is the tail wagging the dog? Um, and I think it could. There's definitely a lot of stuff that this almost feels. I don't want to say like season 3.5 of The Boys or something like that, but it really feels like a really nice tangential story for you to watch. I really like it. Like I mentioned, we continue to have some of the most gruesome violence, like just for violence sake, but it all plays into the world, right? It's kind of like one of the reasons that we show up is because we kind of want to see that gore in the show, and of course all the weird, creepy, sometimes just like the approach in the commentary that they do on this world. It's a really augmented reflection of some of the things that are happening in the real world, which um, it makes it very interesting to see that perspective and explore those themes, right? It also putting yourself back into the mindset of a college student just trying to compete for the top spot, for being on the dean's list. Now, in this world, being a superhero, it's really fun to explore also, like the different avenues of what you could do as a suit. Like, as somebody with powers, not everyone ends up being like a full-time superhero, right? There are many different fields that this show explores, which some of it includes like business, the arts, like entertainment, stuff like that, which is cool. I think it's really fun to think of a world and just round out the world that we have set up in the main show as well. Um, And like I said, we have some really cool performances. So let me go over some of my favorite characters. I think at the top of the list, I have to put Emma. Lizzie Broadway. Just she's funny. She delivers like things with a lot of feelings. Her powers are very interesting, and as we can see through the season, they kind of evolve or unveil new facets of that, which is really cool. I think some of these characters, their powers are not just what they seem on the surface, and that's because sometimes they haven't explored what it takes to be a real superhero or to really control their powers. Which kind of brings me over to Marie, another great character. We get some really interesting reveals from her backstory. We get to understand what her powers really are. Right, we begin seeing in episode one that she has blood manipulation, but what does that really mean? And if you're thinking, blood mender, like you could definitely you're making some right assumptions there. So I think a lot of these kids end up being a lot more powerful than they think. But the show also explore like what is the cost physically, mentally, emotionally of using these powers, and what happens when tragedy strikes the group. What happens when they find out that things may not be what they seem to be. The show has a really interesting mystery that instead of delaying the gratification, they dive right into that because that's what the show kind of becomes, while still trying to maintain like the school facet of it, which is just kind of a really cool, entertaining double track where these kids have to almost have a secret double life, and or only they know what's going on, which makes you feel a lot better. It almost feels like you're part of the group as somebody who's watching, because you know what they're going through. um, what else? We have some really interesting and weird, crazy powers. Some of the students that are just kind of there for a little bit or whatever. Like, there's just so many interesting ways that these powers are used all throughout. As I mentioned, there are many surprises. I left some people off of the cast list because I don't want to spoil anything. I really think it would behoove you just to go check it out. But yeah, as far as a season of a show, this really has everything. It looks great, like it looks like a quality show. The university that they use as a setting, and everything that they continue to add, I think it's great. There's a lot of characters that are very interesting, that are not even soups. Like, they really are characters that fill out the college campus. Of course, everything still trickles down from VOD, so you may see some familiar faces when it comes to the people that work behind the scenes at VOD. You get to explore how the news and how entertainment and how all that propaganda machine that VOD has running trickles down into the school and into the world, and even just into the regular lives of everyday people. But then we also see that, you know, the social media status and virality and like being popular like that also plays into part of this world, which is really interesting because I think when you have superpowers, or when a college kid has superpowers, what what do they do to entertain all those people, right? Like, everyone has a phone, everyone can really be their own star, building their own brand. So there's a fine line between these students being seen as people or also seeing just as a product that bot's putting out there. And that's something that the show also really plays with and explores a lot. Of course, we get a little bit of inner romance between some of the students because it is a college show. It's something that you kind of just assume that they're gonna have developed these relationships. Some of these characters, really cool, and like I said, a lot of really interesting powers. I think Jordan had a really interesting role in one of the better arcs for their character, which is really interesting. Right, they explore their relationship with their parents. Um, they explore the relationship with the school and trying to be one of the students getting to the top. And what will they do? Like, where do you draw the line of the things you're willing to do to be ranked number one at this school? Of course, we get some really fun cameos from the world of the boys, all sprinkled in throughout the season. So be on the lookout for those. And yeah, if you kind of pay attention in the background, you'll see a lot of fun stuff. And the story is full of twists and turns. It was interesting from the beginning all the way to the end. the mystery, the players involved, the revelations all throughout. I don't want to get into any of that stuff as far as spoiling anything, but I really, really enjoyed this season. And I'm glad to hear that it looks like we will be having more of this show because I think it's well worth your time spending some time on this. And I don't think that, although they are grabbing ideas from the original comic books material, they are expanding this in such a fun way that it's a really, really well done adaptation of it. So, if you have seen Gen V season one, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.